Hey guys, so it's Homebrew Wednesday, and I'm doing a pumpkin ale. I'm getting ready to roast it. I've also got the seeds here that I'm going to separate from the stringy, pulpy mass, and I'm going to roast them in the oven, along with the pumpkins on a baking sheet, upside down, about 350 degrees. So this is, you know, the whole inside gooey mass of the pumpkin, using pumpkin pie pumpkins as you should. And so this is the first step. So I got to caramelize these and get these toasted up. I'm going to actually toast up the pumpkin seeds, and I'm going to add them to the mash. I'm going to grind them up a little bit. So we'll see how that works. I think there's a lot of flavor in the pumpkin seeds that we could probably get. So that's the plan. And cool. And I got my starter going. As you can see, we're getting a little bit of activity in the airlock. Let's see here. Bloop. One. So we're getting one about every 6 seconds. That'll speed up throughout the day. So pumpkins in the oven there, lined with foil. So I'm ready to tackle the pumpkin seeds. So going to separate these from the mass and get them roasting so I can grind them up. I just wanted to show you I'm adding the pumpkin. This is the mashed pumpkin that I did. I'm adding that straight into the mash to really try to extract as much of the fermentable sugars that are in the pumpkin as possible. There's not much sugar in pumpkin. I believe it kind of comes out to 1.005 starting gravity per pound. And I'm adding some rice hulls in here so that I can avoid a stuck mash with all this goopy pumpkin. And then I'm doing a really thick mash at first, and this is at 120. I'm doing a really thick mash. Let me just double check the temperature here. So yeah, I'm doing a really thick mash. I'm going to do a try to do a multi-step infusion, not a decoction really, but I want this to try to be at like 104, and it's a little warmer than that. It's about 108, almost 110. Well, we're hit 110, so we're at 110. It's a little warmer than I wanted it to be. I'm going to put the lid on this for the first half hour. Just seal that all up. So there we go. That's the mash tun going there. Okay, so I'm also trying to get in something else. I haven't done this before. I'm trying to get into my mash pH and find out how that's working. So I picked up some mash pH, some of these pH strips, and I'm actually going to try to use it in here and see what happens. I'm going to get this lid off. Let's stick that right in there and find out where that's at. I messed up a little bit. I kind of wanted to do that before I put the pumpkin in to see what the pumpkin would do. So how does this work? Place the padded end. That's the padded end. Okay. For 1 to 2 seconds. Read color within 15 seconds. So within 15 seconds, you know, we're looking at it. I don't know if you can see that there, but we're looking at our mash pH somewhere between 5.4 and 5.8. Not quite dark enough to be 5.8. Probably right around 5.4. Maybe 5.0. Looks like we're right about 5.0. So I'm checking my mash temp now, or my mash pH. So I'm not certain exactly how perfect that is, but I'm going to do some research. I got my How to Brew book by Jim Palmer over here, and the Designing Better Beers. I'm trying to remember the author's name. Ray Daniels, by Ray Daniels, the guy who does the Cicerone Project. So I'm going to check that out and see if we're within acceptable parameters. Also, that's going to change because I've only got 3 gallons of mash water in here. I'm doing it real low so that when I go to do my next step in another half hour, I have enough volume that I can add more water. Just did another mash pH on it. It's about 5.0. I've got it up to temperature. Added some more water to bring it up. I was doing a kind of a, they talk about an acid rest or a protein rest. Those aren't really needed, but I really want to experiment with it and experiment with mash pH and really try to get extraction. I've been having a little problems. I've been having a low extraction rating, so I'm trying to, start off a little lower, build temperature, do a couple different rests in there, take a little time, extending my rest from a total of 60 minutes from mash in to mash out to about 2 hours with a couple different steps in there from like 104 to 140 to 155. So I'm hoping that'll help me with the extraction. We'll see how it goes on this one, see how close I get to it. So I put about 4 pumpkin pie pumpkins worth of pumpkin in the mash tun. I've got 2 more that are in the oven now that I'm going to add to the boil. I really want to get quite a bit of pumpkin flavor. I might add some to secondary. We'll see how it comes out. So that's where we're at right now, and we're lautering now, and it's coming out running pretty clear. So that's definitely good, and you can see all that nice pumpkin floating there in the mash. I toasted up the pumpkin seeds, excuse me, put them in a coffee grinder and ground them up pretty good. So and I added about a half a pound of rice hulls, hopefully to prevent a stuck mash. So so we'll hopefully won't have any problems with that. So we're just going to collect the wort now and then begin sparging once that grain bed gets down to it. So that's where we're at. So I'll be back once we start the boil. Okay, so we got the boil going, as you may see. I don't know, that fog it up? No, not so much. Well, we got the boil going hard, and I took that white thing in there that you may not be able to see is a grain bag that I put two more of the pumpkin pie pumpkins in there after roasting them, and that's what's left out of the mash. It's some pretty gooey shit. Hey guys, so I just added the spices to this thing. I'm sure you can't really see it very good. It's probably fogging all up. But I added the spices, added the second hop addition. I'm just using some Fuggles and Willamette. So, I really like these fresh hops. I think they're a little bit spicier, and they have a little bit more actual flavor to them, a little bit more intense aroma on this. So I really like using these. And then I just added the spices, and man, it does smell like pumpkin pie. I used about half a teaspoon of each one of cinnamon and nutmeg, ginger, allspice. So I used half a teaspoon of each of them. So that should give it a good spice without being too overwhelming. I had about 6.5 to 7 gallons in here before the boil, but I think we're just a little under 5 now. Because I've been boiling it for like an hour, a little bit more than an hour. So I also added 2 pounds of brown sugar and about a pound of maple syrup to really kind of give some added sweetness and a little darker color. So hopefully that should help. It smells great. So that's my Homebrew Wednesday. I'm gonna cool it down and pitch the yeast and probably have another beer. So I've got my pumpkin ale fermenting now. So I wanted to share this with you. We kind of came up with a really cool little way to ferment, and show you that it's working. Let's listen. You might be able to see the stuff moving through the tube there, but basically we just got a corny keg, and all we did was we hooked up one of the gas connectors and to the gas in, and we just have a bare hose going into a blow-off tube. So it acts as a blow-off tube. It's sealed. It's it's a solid fermenter. Because of the corny kegs, you can take the stems out. You can wash it. You can just put in some. We normally sanitize it with boiling water. We just boil some water and throw it in there and kind of steam clean it. Let it sit in there for a little while. Release the pressure and pop it off. They're pretty easy to clean, yeah, it's a pretty nice little fermenter. I've seen some people drill holes in the top of the corny keg, like they'll have like up in here, they'll drill a hole for an airlock. But we thought about that, but we're like, it should let the gas. If it lets gas in, it should let gas out, and it turned out it worked. This also creates a really cool way to rack without oxidization. Because you can basically just take, take your gas in, force the beer out, take another corny keg, purge it with CO2, get it full of CO2, put the gas in here, and, just basically use a jumper cable from this to the gas in on the other side, and the gas will start forcing it, just start letting out some gas on the empty keg, and it'll act like a jumper cable and just go right over into the other keg. And that way you can transfer, or you can rack without having to worry about getting any oxidization in there. And then so you're good to go. We've done that a couple times. It works pretty cool. We've also got worked up a transfer mechanism to transfer homebrew into Sankey kegs, and I'll show that to you sometime. So cool. Well, that's all for my Homebrew Wednesday video. So cool, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.